be live.
Live. At what cost? I can see the stream on Twitter.
Let's just check if shit is working.
I can also hear myself, unfortunately.
Hello.
I hear myself. Do you have headphones?
Yeah, I can hear you, not myself. That's fine. We'll figure it out as always.
No, but I hear myself in like an echo type of situation from like your end. So if you have
just
headphones
give me a minute,
or
okay?
not.
If we both don't
Yeah.
speak, I can fix it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to someone on YouTube order saying there is a fix your microphone, please. So yeah, welcome to another technical issues. The stream.
Can you at least hear me now? Can you hear me now? On the stream. Great. Fucking rug pulled. Okay for both or fucking audio? Okay, good. Fuck me, dude.
Usual.
Okay, I'm giving it one more last time before we fucking go next time. Audio monitoring device.
Okay, I can hear myself now. I hear myself now.
Let's just try, as always, I guess.
Can you say something?
Hello.
I cannot hear you though. On like a. I cannot hear you on a Google call now.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Hello.
One last attempt before I fucking nuke all of this shit.
We need clear analysis, someone is saying. We need to make... I'm not sure if I... Yeah, can you say something now?
Hello.
Yeah, I only hear you through the stream, but not on a call that we are in.
I fucking hate this bullshit.
It's over.
Can you hear me now, Adam?
Yes. Say something again.
Hello.
Yes, okay, cool. I can hear you on a call now. I think we should be good.
Fucking hell, I hate technology, man. I'm such a
Okay, please let us know if you can hear us. Aren't you like streaming
but
yourself?
it's meant. Fuck this shit for real. Like it's every week. It's some new bullshit. It's that simple. Music output. Sorry, microphone. Sorry, audio output and input. 2 fucking buttons. It's always the same settings. However, every time it's something other is broken. That's all I get. Karma because I shit on Ethereum all the time. Fuck me.
Yeah.
Okay, let's tweet quickly and let's go.
One second, I will just post it.
Yeah, same. Same.
Okay, hello. Welcome to the non-technical stream, but we are here. Before we get into things, as always, streams are sponsored by BonkBot. If you guys like the streams, if you enjoy these on a weekly basis, make sure that you use our link that I just posted in both of the chats. And yeah, let's get into things. So we will start at BTC. From my kind of point of view, not that much has changed. You know, I have been pretty bullish on Bitcoin last month, which ended up being a kind of a good decision. I got out from my longs around 95k, so I'm currently not really in any. Sorry, what?
Sidelined.
Yeah, I'm sidelined. Yeah, so we had this push. I think last week was pretty interesting because we had this push on Thursday on BTC, which was looking pretty good. You know, obviously we had a huge move in the S&P as well alongside with it, but then on Friday, you know, stocks and the S&P kind of continued to just push higher. You know, we closed the week very strong on the index, but crypto was a little bit lacking a strength on a Friday, which I believe is kind of a translating to the weekend weakness we have right now. From the things that I look at, I don't really have that much of a confidence in anything right now, simply because, you know, I look at stuff like the order book depth, which is very flat. You know, that's very unusual. Looking at, you know, how kind of a spot supply and demand is you know, hanging around, basically not really showing that much of a skew on the either side. We obviously had a huge, or not huge, but we had a decent kind of a change in the open interest from the lows, which, you know, is not something unusual. But at the same time, you know, funding kind of stayed quite baseline. Was, I think, negative for the most part, which, you know, which is kind of a good signal, because obviously you have this perps buying, but you know, it goes alongside with the spot. You know, since I especially for me, you know, since I trade a little bit of a higher time frames now, hold trades for longer, I don't really kind of try to dissect too much of a order flow, you know, looking at like spot CVD and who is exactly buying where and in what legs and whatnot. But in general, you know, when I see a huge change in OI, when I see people piling in perps, I don't immediately think it's like a, you know, bearish signal. But it's kind of a thing where, you know, funding rates can, or like the spot premium overall, can just give you a nice insight in the fact that if this buying is only coming from perps, or if there is also a spot demand, which obviously, you know, is kind of shown with funding being holding at least at the baseline, and obviously sliding negative is kind of a good sign, and we had that right now. So I think it's looking pretty good from that point of view. But on the kind of contrary, I think we had once again kind of a pretty big inflows on ETF, especially during that kind of a 90, 93, 95k range. There's a lot of buying coming from ETFs, which in general I see as a more of a bearish signal. We historically, when these ETFs flows are just kind of piling in, you generally see that in at the tops, or big net flows, sort of big outflows are often signs of the bottom. There was an exception of this during the election, when obviously everything kind of went much higher after the elections, but overall, having this amount of kind of inflows is not the most bullish sign for me personally. Coming into May, and coming into this week, we are basically at the level, we are sitting dead at this 95k level right now, at least on the Binance perp, which I want to see this to hold. Basically, I don't know if you have. I don't see your trading view chart, but if you have, it kind of is this little bit of a mid-range, or not really
Yeah, I have
mid-range,
it.
but it's kind of a level. It's basically we are above these March 3rd highs, which were the Trump tweet situation. I generally want to see this to hold. If we start to break under 95k, especially if we lose like 92s, 93s, basically make I think even on a daily or like a little bit of lower time frames, 12-hour, 8-hour time frame, basically it's mid-range kind of point. If we basically break underneath that consolidation that we had from end of April, like this last week of the April, that kind of sideways price action that we made the new highs from it on Thursday. But if price kind of slides back down, slides back underneath 92k, I would be more inclined to basically just see the pullback lower, somewhere towards the range low, basically where you have the line. I would say I think that's a pretty good, even from risk reward perspective. Shorting that seems to be like a pretty good trade to me. But since indicators for me at least are kind of very neutral, options are pretty neutral as well. At the moment, the spot book is neutral as well. OI is elevated, but with funding being flat, it's not really signal for me to go insanely short. Or like being too aggressive, trying to fade all this per positioning, and price action is still, I would say, is still kind of bullish. We are still making. If you look at a little bit of a lower time frames, we are still making higher highs. This kind of pullback that we had over the weekend can be seen as kind of a lower high at the moment. So yeah, I am waiting. I am sitting in things. Sitting in on my hands, more likely, not really being too positioned at the moment. But yeah, even for if I would go long, there is, I think if I really would like to see price to go towards 93, 92k to test that kind of a micro range low, basically. And I can see a situation there where if we are about to put like a lower low there, I would like the price to kind of go there and not immediately bounce back. Obviously, if we would do such thing, like if we would trade lower at the start of the next week, but it would immediately get bought back up very quickly on like a very strong move with some liquidations and all of that I think would be pretty nice continuation higher, actually, because at the time a lot of people who got long on Thursday, I'm pretty sure 92k would be area where they would be kind of puking those kind of late longs in this last leg up. So yeah, for me, next week I'm kind of chilling at the moment. I still see this as a bullish market structure. I still see this as a pretty healthy trend, especially since considering the fact that we are up 30% ish from the lows, and market is not very overheated for me. That's in general pretty good sign. But yeah, I held my long to the point where I felt like it's most kind of advantage just for me got out, took profits, which is obviously this forbidden thing to do on City. And yeah, right now I'm just kind of happy to observe for what is going to happen next week. But yeah, my kind of point of view is that if we're gonna go to 93, 92k, I will be watching more closely about the reaction on that from like a TA point of view. Someone already asking about Sailor. I think Runner has a much better and much cleaner insights on that. So I will just let him go through that.
Yeah, very much agree with you. I think higher time frames look excellent for BTC. Monthly, weekly, mid range is mid ranging. I do like that we're streaming on Sunday because weekends. I think we're entering the mode where weekends is truly for taking time off, especially because two biggest entities buying BTC and only buying BTC before somebody asks about Ethereum and altcoins are ETFs, as you mentioned, and Sailor, which I think should be the longest segment for the day. ETFs, as you said, we just had some of the best weeks actually since inception, which is quite insane that we basically had like even better weeks than we had during Trump. And just in this month, we are like $4.2 billion worth in inflows. Obviously, accounted for there's weekends and whatnot, right? So it's, a lot less days than 30. And Sailor. First of all, they've been buying a bunch past few weeks. They bought 2 billion over past two weeks, and they obviously announced the usual tweet they do with the need more dots thingy. You probably see that yourself, right? They basically announce every Sunday that they bought. But the biggest caveat, or like the most interesting thing to me at least with Sailor right now, all the way until last Monday, they effectively ran out of money when it comes to one of the products or vehicles they use to buy BTC, which are ATMs, which is as easy as selling MicroStrategy, use the cash to buy Bitcoin. And they had this thing called 2121 plan, which they announced or like launched, whatever you want to call it, in October 2024. It was a 3-year plan, meaning in next 3 years, we're going to do $21 billion worth of ATMs, $21 billion worth of convertibles. And they basically full blasted the money in 6 months. They basically ran out of money again, as I said last week. But also MicroStrategy, sorry for it to be a bit of story time, but I think it's relevant context. Truly believe that was Bitcoin went from 60k to 110, so I think it's worth mentioning at least. But MicroStrategy a few days ago, I believe on Friday or Thursday, they had earnings call. I highly encourage everybody to listen to it. It's uploaded on YouTube. It's everywhere you can find it. And just the first 20 minutes is all you need to watch because they basically explain what they're doing, how they're doing. And TLDR, the interesting part is they said, okay, 2121 is not enough. We're going to make it 4242. So basically, MicroStrategy has, reloaded the gun with a bunch of new money. Convertibles take time. You need more favorable conditions to do them. That's why they don't do them that much. But the ATM sale, I think it's very interesting. I think that, do you have any thoughts on that? Yourself, basically Sailor buying non-stop. They basically during the same time frame that I mentioned since announcing the 2121 plan, their average price went from 39k to 69k. Let's actually look at here. Yeah, the average price since announcing the 2121 plan from 39 to all the way to here. The average price now is this is the big red line I have here. It's 68.5k. So from my understanding, Michael Saylor, to kind of summarize it, they announced it a few days ago. They're going to continue buying billions and billions. From my understanding, or the patterns I see, for them to keep buying, they need the premium to stay somewhat elevated. It's currently at 2x, which is pretty big. So I think Saylor will simply keep selling MicroStrategy and buying more Bitcoin. And now the caveat here, or we can maybe have a back and forth, is will ETFs follow? Or, will ETFs follow Saylor, or will ETFs follow TradFi? That being said, a great post from Jim Bianco, I think a very worth and good follow on Twitter, posted, I'm not sure if you've seen it, but S&P 500 had the 9 days in a row, longest streak since 2004. So, you having mentioned just a few minutes ago, is that a local top? Is it like, as of right now, we have everything we could have literally asked for, right? We had dollar weakness, we had S&P putting in biggest rally in literally decades. We had Sailor deploying billions, ETFs buying some of the best weeks, while at the mid-range. So I'm not taking this personally as a bad post. I am looking for longs only. Only on Bitcoin. I think. Sorry, maybe back to you before I continue.
No, I mean, yeah, it's definitely interesting. Like for me, especially, like I trade a bunch of stuff. I obviously trade a lot of BTC. For me, when it comes to crypto, is probably like the main. It's the main factor when I, even if I would go and trade altcoins, I always kind of want the BTC to be on the same side. But I don't really, follow a lot of this like specific BTC stuff. I don't really follow MicroStrategy that much. I don't really look at a bunch of these things because it's kind of goes outside of the things that I do. But yeah, I do agree with the fact that, like we obviously had huge recovery from the S&P. It was so over just a month ago. Now we are basically where we kind of started with this insane end of the world sell-off. We kind of retraced the whole thing, but even S&P, I think it's kind of a little bit at resistance now, although the monthly is obviously insane with that long wick and all of that. But yeah, we have FOMC, I believe, on Wednesday, so that's also going to be probably quite a deciding factor. I think the tariff thing got very much, it's kind of over at this point, or like, market, we really had this pretty crazy sell-off and buyback and the pullback and all of that. So yeah, it's interesting because yeah, I think S&P very strong, but at the same time also kind of a little bit at resistance. From the stuff that I look at when it comes to the S&P, on the other hand, I don't really see that many like warning signals. Wix is the only thing that seems to be like fully retraced, basically the whole kind of a panic mode. So now Wix is once again coming into this more of like a complacent levels of people just being back in the genius season. But yeah, I think it's going to be pretty interesting to watch how I guess both Bitcoin and the ES are going to kind of behave around this resistance, which is why I'm also kind of a little bit hesitant to just go more long, just and why I was basically getting out from the longs around this 95k area in the first place.
Yeah, I think we can hopefully most of us agree that like longing when VIX was highest since 1989 and whatnot, like some of these like most insane headlines, like Apple having the worst day in history since inception, Bitcoin in 75. I just think that on like I really love the evolving R concept from Trader Dante.
Yeah,
it's like it's so much worse to get long here basically.
Yeah. That was, to be fair, like one of the main reasons why I just closed the longs at 95, because like I think I ended up getting long around 80, a little bit 79 or something like that, and I was just watching this thing and it was like I don't really have that much of a good level now to just move my stop, or just not risking giving back too much. So yeah, that's definitely one of the things that I'm looking at. Someone asking about Bitcoin gold chart. To be fair, I actually like a lot looking at like these like cross asset charts. I usually look at S&P Bitcoin to kind of see the strength and weakness. Let me look at the Bitcoin gold. Yeah, that's also, it's looking pretty good, I would say, for BTC. Obviously, doing any kind of technical analysis on these things is not not that powerful, I would say. But yeah, Bitcoin gold chart basically, retraced the kind of a move into the November rally, basically elections, and now it's kind of moving up from there. I think the gold is obviously pretty crazy. Has been very clean, sorry, not clean, but clear winner of this kind of a risk of environment, where usually you look at stuff like yen, you look at stuff like Swiss franc bonds and all of these things, but yeah, gold has been very, very clear winner of basically this kind of safe haven asset. We had some decent weakness towards the end of the last week, which I think translated. Basically on Thursday, gold sold off quite a bit. BTC pushed higher, S&P pushed higher. So yeah, I think if gold is going to top here, we should see money moving into the risk assets. I don't know. Like, I personally don't really engage in trying to short markets like gold. Like, if you kind of zoom out, we are basically just still like all-time high. Obviously, we had like one rejection week now, or like two rejection weeks, but it's a silly chart still for me to just go really in, and I also don't think that I saw that many signals for this to be top. But if gold is kind of topping around here, that's obviously, I think it's pretty good for BTC. It's pretty good for the S&P. I think
2 weeks ago it was a digital gold.
Yeah, that's the narrative for BTC seems to be rotating basically on weekly basis, but I think it's very straightforward. When Bitcoin is kind of doing the best, I think we obviously we spoke about this on a stream. We had this relative strength against the stock market during the tariff talk. I think that kind of played out. I think one of the signals of that playing out is probably Friday was a good signal of that being over, when actually S&P made new highs or pushed higher. Bitcoin kind of stagnated, didn't really push that far. So I think that narrative is kind of over for the time being, but it doesn't change the fact that I still think that the stock indices are the best kind of a indicator for Bitcoin and some other things maybe.
And apparently the person who asked this question said that Cathie Wood said that, so I think we could have just kind of disregarded because Cathie Wood is she's not the most accurate predictor from the boomer folks.
Yeah.
But basically everything is above the Liberation Day from I'm trying to remember which day it was, like 3rd or 4th, but basically the highs for everything before the nuke on TradFi and Bitcoin, and everything is trading above the Liberation Day basically. So the whole tariff thing was unnecessary, if you will. Sell or out.
No, it's interesting, but at the same time, I think if we start to kind of break down, I think I can see, like I mentioned, I can kind of see that trade for Bitcoin underneath that 93K, kind of a break in market structure, clean weakness. For S&P, it's the S&P rally, it was pretty crazy. It's just like so. And overall, the way that the ES trades is just like very one directional. Doesn't give you that much. It's just basically a harder market than what we get here in the mental illness corner of the internet with coins mostly. So stocks also did very well. I think Google had or not Google, something did really well. Microsoft had earnings, I think, and it really pushed higher. So there is this chart which I tend to look at, which is basically Bitcoin against MEX, which is the ETF for MEX 7. That's also went down a little bit, but it's still, I think, looking pretty good because it broke out from from that. So yeah, in my opinion, I think the best thing, what I kind of try to do is really look at BTC, look at the stocks, look at the indices, and then just kind of try to rotate it there when it comes to like where I believe the strength is coming. I had a pretty good guess a month ago where I bet it more heavily on BTC, and that played out. Now it's I think more kind of tricky to really see. And if, like I said, we had this huge rally in April, kind of into resistance. So I'm just trying to be a little bit more cautious. Obviously, sell in May, walk away meme. It's meme until everything is down 20% again, and so yeah.
I still think the whole May walk away thing is more of like introspection, just like as a human being. Like, am I spending the best months of the year on like touching grass bases, watching price chop, do nothing, waiting for something, waiting for Godot? Do you plan to day trade?
If you, sorry, yeah, we can get back to that in a second. Assuming you catch a good long around 90K, what would be the target? I think personally, I think that's a good question. Like, if we start to break down, because like I said, I think there are basically like two scenarios with this whole kind of a 93K level. One would be that we're just going to basically just trade underneath that, and if market is just going to kind of stay there, and like you have all this kind of a acceptance, or whatever you want to call it, in price action, basically, where if you're just going to break levels, you want to see kind of price just stay there for a couple days, to like not really get baited and see immediate reversals. But oftentimes you kind of break the market structure, you break new lows, everyone gets super horny. Usually at these points, you have like these moving averages are a little bit too low for my liking. I think if you would go all the way down there to like that white moving average or whatever, that's pretty deep. But like if we would break underneath 92, 93K, and I would see like a like large liquidations, I would see funding sliding more negative, like a decent puke in the open interest, some other things, these kind of skews in the spot order books, being more on the bid side, then there is obviously a chance that would be kind of a false break or whatever. And if we would get strength back up, once again, market just price goes up, it's always the best narrative for everything. And if I would manage to actually get long again, I think at that point I would be targeting like 105 all-time high kind of region. Would be pretty decent trade in my opinion. Would be pretty nice kind of a situation. If you look at weekly time frame, there is like a this weekly candle is going to get closed pretty soon. You have a weekly low, at basically this week's low at like 92.5K. So if you would basically trade underneath that and you see that kind of a classic bait, shorts piling in, you start to get bounce back, then that would be definitely a trade I would be pretty interested in to try to get long. And at that point I think risk to reward targeting new highs would be pretty decent, or like anything above 100, 105, 110 would be pretty cool trade. So yeah, that's definitely a option I'm kind of keeping my mind open to. But if we break underneath this week's low and market just kind of hangs around there, we show no signs of strength or whatnot, and then any kind of pullback to the upside would be probably a bearish retest. And at that point, I think we're gonna be filling that very quick leg up which we had from like 85 to 95 or something like that. So yeah, you asked about what the plans for summer, if I'm going to be day trading.
Yeah.
I don't really plan to do that. I actually was kind of thinking to take a little bit of a time off from trading, like for a month ish, coming into the summer. I like trading in the summer because summer is generally kind of slow. and it's not that hard to keep up with things. Like most of the things are just not worth paying attention to. So generally during the summer I just like to keep track of things, but I had quite a busy uh first 4 or 5 months trading. A lot of stuff in TradFi, to be fair, but yeah, I was kind of thinking actually, I just like not really sell in May, but just like log just walking away basically for maybe 2-3 weeks. But yeah, we will see. Obviously, the one of kind of disadvantage with all of this, swing trading stuff and holding trades for a longer time is that like you need to be basically present all the time, because like if you miss that good entry, like if like the long that I got in April, I was basically waiting for that for a month. Like I got long at like a middle of March, around 80K. Round trip that basically for like a small loss, I believe, or maybe like a kind of a break evenish trade. I was sitting in that for almost a month. Got shaken out. Then we made a new leg down, and then basically you had like a on that like a Thursday, when there was this announcement of tariffs getting postponed. I had like, you still have time, obviously. Like I had like one day to get into the position. It's not like I need to be in front of the chart, but obviously would suck to miss that basically, because after that market just rallied for, or not straight, we had a little bit of a sideways for like a week, but I was sitting in the trade for I think 2 weeks. So yeah, that's one thing when it comes to swing trading, that like you don't need to sit in front of the chart for 16 hours a day, but you need to be there when it matters. You still get usually at least a daytime to position yourself, but it's like like you take time off for a month and you miss all these good entries, and then you just need to fucking sit on your hands for whatever long time to basically get positioned again. So it's a little bit of a tricky thing when it comes to swing trading, that you cannot really just fully walk away, or you can obviously, but there is this chance that you are just going to miss good swing entries, which are trades that you would end up holding for weeks to come. So yeah, I definitely would like to take a little bit of a relaxed approach until for coming to the summer, but I think I will still be watching this shit at least to kind of make it necessary. But that's more question for you, like like you are the 1 minute chart connoisseur, so
Oh no, no longer. I mean,
no.
I've actually done. I think a relatively. What I'm trying to see is, I think you can gauge amount of cool stuff happening in the market with a lot of stuff. I don't mean scrolling for you page, which is just all insane. People dying and racism.
Dude, I had like a like a breaking point basically with this fucking app. Like I deleted Twitter from my phone. I no longer look at it, because yeah, I usually would just wake up, open the For You page, see like 7 people dying with like first 10 minutes, or like some like alt-right shit in the US. So yeah, I can highly recommend that. Like I just deleted the app from my phone, and I downloaded like a browser extension for the desktop version, which like hides the For You page and like strips down the whole Twitter to like the bare bones. I don't even see like retweets. I don't see basically anything other than people that I actually follow posting. So I have much better social media experience these days. But yeah, it was kind of a I'm really trying to like live life a little bit. Yeah. So
No, it's slowed down. Like the reality is, the market has definitely slowed down. I don't want to shit on altcoins too much, but it's generally speaking, when altcoins underperform, you can tell that people are just less interested, because the classic narrative is, okay, Bitcoin will not 10x my money, which again, fair, understandable. So people focus altcoins on chain and whatnot. But I do still keep like track. But even the fact that when you have inverse retweet, flat Earth content, there's just nothing happening in the space.
I think in like a slower markets like these that we have right now, is just like things just go much more sideways, kind of a death of volatility and everything. And then when rallies happen, they are usually very quick. They are much shorter. Like you can, like, I know that people say it's like bear market rallies or whatever. I don't really care, to be fair. Like, I think, like you could have argued that, Bitcoin, when I was getting long at 8K, was in like a clean downtrend. Like, that's whatever for me. But like, it's like the moves generally are just much quicker and don't really give that many people opportunities, because like when you have, when we are in a, like this bull cycles or whatever, like it's very forgivable to buy. Like you can buy absolute dog shit. Your average price can be absolute dog shit and you still have a very high chance to just get away with it, because market is basically just up only. In these conditions, you really need to be able to time things a little bit better. You need to be, really more on kind of top of your game when it comes to trading, for these trades to kind of make sense, and don't kind of overstay your welcome and all of that. But yeah, I think the moves still happen. The volatility, volatility in crypto is always going to be here, be there, but it's much harder environment to just trade it well, basically.
Yeah, it's we had a few coins do well, but almost all of them basically full retrace.
Someone asking about Sol. I think Solana was. You mentioned your average price is 156, which
that
is
was
like
my exit. I feel
that's like a top take of the of the Friday high. Yeah, this is the best entry.
It might. I assume it's from much earlier, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like if it's from much earlier, I would just probably get out, because you got this chance to get out. Which it's something you should cherish. But yeah, I think I to be quite fair, I like Sol. I think Sol, it's just it's always going to be strong. It's always this on chain driver and all of these things. I think it's one of the few things which kind of did well against Bitcoin. Not really.
A good thing with
little bit
for Sol is that the base is just unable to land anything. Like every time Jesse tweets, I just want to shoot myself in the head. So that's bullish Sol. There's no real competition.
I'm personally, if we would get a pullback, if market just starts to correct, I have like alerts around 125, 120 for Sol, where I would be pretty interested to maybe try to get long. Not here, but if you would get lower, then Sol definitely would be one of the things that I would try to get into, because I still do think that Solana is one of the few altcoins that has place in like has a reason basically to be strong. Some asking about Sui, which I have no idea why it was actually that strong, which it was. It rallied a lot from $2 to like almost $4. Yeah, I don't know. I think is there a reason for that other than it being kind of it's
nothing
it's
like
just
nothing I've
it's tough, like with because like with Sol, I at least can say that like
there's
people
a real ecosystem.
Yeah, there's like there was some Pokemon news. I actually saw that. Like Sui partnering with like Pokemon Go game, which obviously is huge, but yeah, I don't know, like I wouldn't buy it here, but if I was actually looking at it a couple days ago. I do not have any trades here. I don't really have a level here to go short. I would be interested in longs at the places, which would be kind of like full retrace of the rally, around like $2.5 area, which is obviously quite a deep down. But, with these trades, you often see them, and this is actually how I used to trade altcoins a lot. at the beginning is just, because if you would look at like open interest of Sui, obviously you had like a huge build up. You have like a huge run up from the $2 area to these highs. So I basically had these like a trackers which would track changes in open interest, and like you don't always need to have narrative or whatever for every single thing that is happening. But what do you usually find when you have like this huge rally in OI or and price as well, especially coming from like a levels of consolidation, which Sui was basically going sideways for over a month. It's building this kind of a pretty good base that if we ever manage to get down there, you will see the buying kind of happening again. So yeah, I might look at to get long around this $2.5 area, but not here. I guess not here. If we would make a new highs on Sui, basically we are kind of pulling back now, but yeah, I personally would just probably wait for a deeper retracement. So
I want to kind of go back into what we were discussing earlier. When you have, how do you see? Because I don't want to be the one saying it again. How do you see altcoins, just relative performance when you have ETF buyers and Sailor basically non-stop buying, and charts like others, BTC quite literally only making new lows, and
I mean, it's, in my opinion, which is I don't know if it's worth that much, but I think a lot of these, like all the BTC charts and BTC like dominance and all of that, it's all good, but especially like others, I don't like how many coins are in like others BTC. Like I have no idea how this kind of index is. Like what is inside that basically. Like what is it tracking? In other words.
So you have total 2, total 3, and total and others.
Yeah, but so that's like basically like all coins, right? Like total, Yeah. So I mean, that's, in my opinion, probably not like the best thing to look at, because obviously, it's, you have like billion coins at this point, and they are like so extremely
not all
cool.
of them are in though. Just
like not all of them, but like even if you have like, I don't know, like 100 coins or whatever coins, how many coins there, like they are obviously very cooked. Like there is like no point, like they are useless. There's like no point for them to go up. All these layer ones, layer twos, they like no one is using them, so like what's the point? But like I think there are still things, and Sui, to be fair, can truly be just people are buying it, so it's going up. Like it doesn't have to be that deep. Same with like obviously we had Farcoin, we had Hype as well. So like my watch list now when it comes to altcoins is like Sol, Farcoin, Hype, Sui. These are only, and I have ETH obviously because I hate myself, but
okay?
but yeah, like I really try to like look at just like separated things, looking at, because there's like a lot of these rallies, and all of these things are obviously fairly liquid. It's not like there is some like absolute shitter going up for one day and I'm immediately putting it in a watch list, when in reality is like 10 million market cap coin, which is probably moved by one person. But when you have these like decently large things, I think it's just better to look at them in a little bit of a separation mode, rather than looking at opening others BTC, be like, okay, altcoins are cooked, I'm just not going to bother ever again, and that's basically it. But yeah, it hasn't been that much. I think we had some moves in the meme coins, maybe not really.
Yeah, both up and down, I guess.
Yeah, some things definitely moved. I think the whole meme coin meta, to be fair, just went to Fartcoin. Obviously, some of these animal coins, I saw some talk on timeline. I'm just looking at a few of them. I'm definitely not saying that because we are sponsored by BonkBot, but I think Bonk did move quite a bit. Probably the most from all of the animal coins, but it's already retracing as well quite a bit. So it's probably coming through, and that's like insanely volatile coin as well. It's probably not something that I would be too eager to just trade myself. But yeah, so like I said, the coins that I really mentioned are the coins that I'm watching. But you cannot really deny that this is just a Bitcoin strength carrying basically the whole market, and also the whole market is kind of a underperforming Bitcoin, with some few exceptions, which are going to be quite tough to catch
And then,
on like a daily basis.
unfortunately, not unfortunately.
Someone said that Twitter stream got cooked, and also it got a little bit cooked for me.
God
I
damn
think.
it.
Okay, so there's a question on Twitter before it got
did
cooked.
get cooked.
Yeah, but YouTube is working.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Let me see if I can somehow. I don't think this happened before.
Yeah, it's definitely weird to see that one platform is getting cooked and the other is not.
Okay, let's see. If nothing, I'll just continue. I mean, we're 50 minutes in anyways, but
Yeah, we are going to moving to the end. I will just post the. Oh yeah, it's just untitled. Yeah, I cannot just see it.
it drugged.
Yeah, it dragged.
GG. Well, I don't think I can unrug it now.
Yeah, let me just post the comment for a YouTube stream, so it's.
The technology hates me.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it's been someone asking on Twitter about virtual. Yeah, that relates a lot. I mean,
So weird. YouTube seems.
yeah,
Did it go back up? Twitter is back up. No.
really. Yeah, it is. We are back.
What
Nice.
the fuck, man? Okay. Either way.
Okay, that was weird. Okay, someone asked on YouTube about virtual. I have no quite honest idea what that exactly is, but I see it's up 250% from the lows. So I will probably continue to not knowing. But yeah, I'm sorry,
AI
I just don't
agents
have
coin.
much of a.
It's just
Yeah.
billions of them. So, but look, I would say if somebody's on top of that shit and there is actionable edge to be had, go for it.
I think that's that's a very good point. Like
It's
if
impossible
like
for me and you
there's
to
like
track this.
yeah, like so many of these like smaller metas, obviously, or probably not so many. It's like one, which is AI. I think and I don't want to be a too much of a hater, but I think the crypto side of AI was like a huge failure. To put it lightly, like basically it just created all these annoying reply AI bots. While if you look at like what actual these AI agents and all of these things are doing, it's just like
Nothing.
completely different thing. So I think it was very much overhyped thing on crypto, which it tends to be a thing when it comes to these coins. But yeah, like at the same time, these things like this virtual chart, which is like up to 150%. Like if you are on top of these things and if you really track what's been going on, like I guess there must be something going on why this is doing so well.
Yeah.
But that's quite honestly just a fundamental setup. Or is it a type of setup where you just like look at like best performers, or, you have all these spaghetti charts or whatever, you see it being up, hopefully kind of early, and you just kind of buy in and trade the momentum, which is unfortunately not something that me or Runner do. So but yeah, it's quite it did quite well, but I wouldn't buy it here personally. But what do I know?
But the thing is, would
Can
you ever buy virtual anywhere? I think that's a more honest question. It's, I mean, dare I say, answer is probably no, and I don't think it's anything wrong with that. I've heard people say, "Look, I cannot be bothered to trade Bitcoin," and I can see that. You know, you're talking about your swing trade, and not very often you have a swing trade play out basically in 14 days, right? What did you
yeah,
capture?
yeah,
Almost
yeah,
20% on Bitcoin. That is a
yeah,
god tier move, right? But these people
yeah.
trading stuff like that, they're like, loser. You know, I caught 700% move on Cheems or
Yeah,
whatever.
no,
Like,
I mean, yeah, that's true, but yeah, like for me, and I think it's like, and this is not like a, like account size thing necessarily, but I just feel much more comfortable, to be just, like when I got long BTC, I know I can put size. I know obviously, who knows if the trade is going to play out or not. But I just much more prefer to like be long like 1 to 3 coins, because like obviously whole market is moving together basically, right? Like like if you just altcoins did relatively well in the last month because Bitcoin did well, right? So I'm just much more comfortable to be in this like a bigger BTC position, maybe some altcoins. I actually try to long Solana as well, with like a decent size, around 120, but at the time, Sol was already 130 ish something, and I never got the pullback that I wanted to. I wasn't chasing it, so I never get that trade. But yeah, it's just the way that I trade. And even if you have, I don't know, like people obviously just try to spray everything on high leverage and hope for this kind of 400% move. It is what it is, I guess. Bitensor is the only one with true value, at least from users of the tech. That's Tao, right?
yes.
Yeah, yeah. I know that has like a lot of. I tend to see it on the timeline quite a bit. Yeah. Didn't that go from like the chart that I'm looking at doesn't have that much data, but didn't that go from like a very low amount of money to this large amount of money?
I've seen Kobe tweet something along the lines that he could have made like $500 million if he
Yeah,
didn't.
it was trading. It did 10x since 2024. So it's
Oh no, no, it's
it
much.
did
The chart should be much older than that. Then
okay. Yeah, I see like 23 chart, which was trading around $50. Yeah, it's very volatile. I will say that, but yeah, I mean, look, if you believe that, like if, and I'm not saying that it's not true, or like there are, obviously, and
how dare you?
no,
Damn you!
like there were many times where I was thinking that I will start to look into these projects from like a fundamental point of view or whatever. Never really did that personally, but I
Because
know
there are
people.
none. No, like,
But no, I don't want to say that. I want to say that like that. I'm not saying like everything is just bad and all of that. I think that if you do believe that, and if there is reason, like it's a good long, like if obviously maybe it moves quite a bit, but like if you get good entries on a chart, if you like this is in this like a huge range in basically since 2024, it's like $200 whatever, $300 mark. Like if you believe in that, if you get a good entry there, just go for it. Like it's all good, I think.
see, with
Yeah,
altcoin
BitGet.
fundamental roars, BitTensor, then I've seen a lot of very smart people I really respect talk about beta chain, how proof of liquidity is like the thing for DeFi. And last time I checked, it just made a new all-time low, and So
Yeah.
without mocking, like seriously, how do you differentiate between, because when you're reading that stuff, the technical, the fundamentals, you're like, no disrespect to anybody watching, me included, I'm way too fucking dumb to actually know what is like real and what is bullshit. Like why is BitTensor subnets and AI fucking hard weight solutions better than proof of liquidity. Like, what is bullshit, what is not. This
I
price
think I think
action.
one of the things which truly killed a lot of the projects in this industry are just unlocks, and basically how all the kind of a rounds work and all of that. Like you can have a project with awesome fundamentals, no matter if it's new layer, whatever, if it's AI thing or whatever. But like if you have a new coin or if you have a coin which gets every month this kind of a selling pressure coming in, it's just very hard for it to just go up. It's almost, and like I would be like, if I would be like truly building something in crypto, if I would be having a project or whatever, like it's almost at the point like where you must be pretty pissed, because like I'm not saying there are no projects which have like good fundamentals, but like if you have all these VCs just dumping the tokens that are getting unlocked, it's like the price is not going to go up that easily. And the thing with meme coins, they obviously there's like a whole new chapter of scam, which we are not going to probably talk about today, with like these cabals and all of that,
House coin?
bullshit. But at least, but at least with a lot of the meme coins, like it's was kind of fair in a sense that just it was just like people buying, right? Like some of these coins, it was not very much of many of them. Most of them were atrocious scams, and where like a handful of people made money and everyone lost. But some of these, especially I think when you looked at like Ship and Pepe and a lot of these like animal coins from like early 21 um, rallies, it was like a quote unquote very much a fair game for everyone.
Yes.
And a lot of that I think translated into that kind of a huge on-chain craze that we had, which unfortunately I think got kind of fucked by just people being people, and most of people being scammers. But yeah, it's tough. I think it's definitely tough for a lot of these altcoins to just do well, because the way that the tokenomics and everything work is kind of a immediately built against the price going up, basically. So yeah, it's tough, but it is what it is, I guess. It's and I think that's why we saw like obviously hype
Yes.
is like hype didn't like it didn't do that much. It just kind of went sideways. You had a rally, but what draw a lot of people to hype at the beginning, and we had like a huge move from that unlock, the airdrop claim, it basically rallied towards the 35 bucks, was that people truly liked the fact that there are no VCs, there's no pre-sale. Is this kind of a people's coin? Obviously some people made insane amount of money on the airdrop, but at the same time it was kind of a earned thing, if you will. Like people, I don't remember exactly what it was, but people, you couldn't just simply wash trade it. You needed to trade different products on hyperliquid, and it was this whole thing, which I think we saw that little bit of a kind of different thing. And and I think Fartcoin, I don't know, Fartcoin just kind of got selected. But yeah, who knows there, basically. So yeah, my thoughts of from someone who has like a zero fundamental understanding of altcoins, why altcoins are not the best. Do you think Bitcoin will have another big crash eventually? Dude, if I, I don't know. Like that, I think that's like one of the most useless things you should be
It's like
kind of
such a
caring
badly
about.
asked, worded question too. When? Tomorrow? Next week? Define big crash. If I are on 5 minute
Yeah,
chart, it's already
and like
crashing, right?
price targets as well. Like you look, like if you look on Twitter on all of these people who were like the most vocal about price predictions, especially these like long time frame price predictions, they're like almost all of them were just wrong, uh completely. Like the people that always try to kind of get the most clout and fully allocated on everything and all of these things, like these moments, like you see these people just basically being like dead wrong, and like something that I kind of realized is that it's just like so useless. Like I bought now at 80k. I had some good trades around the elections last year with BTC, buying around these like range lows. Like I never know where the price is going and how far it's going. I think you should be looking
Because
basically
you're
you
a
should be
LARP.
looking for you should be looking for areas and price points where it like makes sense for you to get into trades, and then kind of try to figure out when to get out, if that makes sense. Like you cannot, there is like no way ever, like no one knows, like BTC can go to fucking 200k and BTC can go to 20k, right? Like who knows? Like or I don't know, and I think that most people that say they do know, they actually don't. But the trading, and I think trading and investing or whatever you want to be doing, not only in crypto but in general in market, is just kind of looking at like trying to find areas where basically it makes sense for you to get into trades, and then let the market kind of figure out the rest, or just like set take profits. Like like one thing that I never do when I get into trades is that I don't have take profit set. Like I don't have this like a like, I know that a lot of people just place a TP line like at like new highs or whatever and just get out of the trade. I just get into the trade and sit, look, and when it kind of stops making sense for me to hold the trade and long and in longer, which can be on like signs of weakness if I'm long, or it can be when I'm just up quite a bit and I'm risking to giving back a lot of money,
Yeah.
then I'm just going to exit the trade. But like I'm not sitting here and being like, okay, like is BTC going to 30k? Is BTC going to whatever price? What I'm going to do when it gets there? It's just like there's like no point. It's like a Twitter thing, I think. Like people just posting charts with big arrows and trying to get a little bit of that engagement. But yeah, it's really like waste of time in general. So yeah, I think we been live for
Around 50
like an
minutes with
hour.
technical issues.
Yeah, 55 minutes without technical issues, probably 15 with technical issues. But yeah, if you guys do not have any more questions, any more coins, the last thing we need to know is when Runner is going to Trump's dinner and where he is on the leaderboard.
My leaderboard is my take profit has been hit on a short position, so kind regards, Mr. Trump and his cabinet of scammers. Have you seen the price action last few days? I love it, man. That is like crime in the crimest of.
I saw yesterday.
So it went from
There was
34
like
to 10, 12.2 in a day.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, yeah, it's so it's so crazy. Like,
No comments. It's
like
just
yeah,
sitting
yeah.
president of United States.
It's so funny. The Pope AI image also. Yeah, it's definitely a funny thing.
No, but next few days, as you said, FOMC. I think again, CME Open will be interesting. I do want to see how much Sailor bought this past week, because I think it will be very relevant to see how quickly they'll try to deploy the ATMs. Look, if they keep buying 2 billion a week, and ETFs do buy 2 billion a week, I think fading it is retarded. But I think we will know when they stop buying. It will be the usual rollover like we had in February, just the around Bybit hack.
Yeah, I think and I think also like it's going to be a very good indicator for price action. Obviously, if we continue to get this inflow and the seller buying and ETF inflows, price should go up. That's as kind of institutional buying as you're gonna get probably at this point. I think the US BTC reserve is kind of a postponed. But also I think, and this is something that I watch with a lot of markets that I trade, is that like when you get very clear good news and market is just not going up, that's very clear signal and clear indication of, that you should try to be careful, especially if you are long. So yeah.
Actually, there should be something. Sorry, last thing before we wrap up. There should be something around the strategic reserve. Somebody sent me actually. If you look at the file from the Bitcoin
I
strategic
saw I
treasury.
saw some news, some like state in the US tried to do the reserve and then it get vetoed, or something like that.
No, wait, I have it here. The White House thingy. We should have within
Yeah,
60
but
days, which means
yeah,
like any day now, basically.
yeah.
But
It's
yeah.
it's a little bit hard with Trump, I would say, because like you have like a US official, statements and all that, and then you have the true social tweets. And people very often kind of misinterpret these, but yeah, it's he is definitely a character, and they do definitely do interesting things in the markets. You cannot not say that, but yeah, it's very hard to navigate because obviously tweeting about something is one thing. A lot of people get excited, but you need a little bit more than that, I think, for to be actually real. But that would be obviously a huge thing, and I think
Yeah.
that would be like a like a Bitcoin strategic reserve in the US would be just like a God candle situation,
Yes.
which if you are not, you said next 60 days, or like
No, no,
where
no.
he
Wait, wait.
should.
I can give you example exactly. It's actually, by the way, from White House website. It should be due like literally any day now in this coming week. Let me
Okay.
quote exact sentence. Within 60 days of the date of this order, the Secretary of Treasury shall deliver an evaluation of the legal and investment considerations for establishing the managing the strategic Bitcoin reserve. That is from the White House website.
Okay.
So maybe
Yeah, man.
question mark Bitcoin strategic reserve open mouth thumbnail.
Yeah, that's
I have not seen this on timeline once, but
I think I saw a little bit of it today, but yeah, that's to be fair, and I know we haven't spoke about this much on stream, but that's like a like you want to be long. Like if you are betting on this, like I think you just want to be long because like they just love to drop these things out of
on
nowhere.
Sunday.
Yeah, on like a Sunday 2 a.m. when I'm in bed, trying to sleep for once. But yeah, like if something like that would happen, that's just like
That's new
like
all-time
we
high
are
that week.
so, yeah, we are just like so back, and that shit would just like go super parabolic. Like you are not getting the entries that you
You have
wanted,
to
and
market buy.
yeah, so that's definitely
So do you think US will
a
sell gold to buy BTC? I think that's retarded to think.
the you mean the gold that doesn't exist
Hey,
in
psht.
the which no one saw since 70s. The yeah I don't know. It's really, once again, it's just like this super hard thing to speculate on. But yeah, that's obviously, and we spoke about this before. I think because like if US is going to do it, and if they would do like literal strategic reserve by like buying Bitcoin, not seizing once they kind of got, I think that can just like make this like a big domino effect, and
Yeah.
a lot of other countries would follow most likely, uh, because obviously the value, and I think it would also like be like it would stabilize Bitcoin price a
Yeah.
lot, I think. Like the volatility,
We'll have to
it
throw
would
on
be
chain, me and you.
yeah, the next stream is going to be us shilling house coin basically, because BTC would be like a stable coin.
It's 200 million.
um yeah, anyway,
Yeah.
thank you guys for tuning in. We are going to catch you next week. And as I have mentioned at the beginning of stream, the streams are sponsored by BonkBot. BonkBot is coming soon with a new cool product, which we will be also showcasing on streams eventually. But if you like the streams, if you want to support us, you can use the links that I just shared on Twitter and the other social, the YouTube. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning